Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
Number 2, man.
Is this number? Yeah, it's number 2.
It's number 2. Yeah. Thank you to everybody who listened to number 1. We've had some nice feedback.
We have, yeah. It's been really nice that people have been paying attention to it and actually checking it out.
Yeah.
I was worried that no one would.
Me too. I mean, I think there's about 40 people have listened to it, but that's more than none.
Someone from the Netherlands listened to it.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
Yeah, someone from Pluto listened to it, apparently, according to our distributor for the podcast.
So, number 1 was just a brief introduction about what we're going to talk about. We had a laugh. Number 2 is a little different. What we got?
We've got the Mister. We've got Mr. Craig Reynolds.
What a cool dude, man.
Man, he's crazy.
Yeah, so Craig visited us recently to do a clinic and was kind enough to lend us about 40 minutes of interview chat, and he is a podcast pro.
Yeah, he's a veteran, some would say.
It was number 2 for us, and number 26 for him.
It was, aye.
So yeah, and he's had great guests on his.
So I've just got done listening to his interview with Mike Johnson.
I've started it.
Yeah? What do you think?
It's great.
Yeah.
I think Mike Johnston could literally talk to anyone, and it would be interesting.
I think so, and I also think you could talk about anything.
Yeah. I reckon, people play those games like your top 5 dinner guests.
Yeah.
Mike Johnston is in everybody's top 5 dinner guest list. They just don't know it.
Yep.
So, yeah, so far so good.
Agreed.
But Craig was really fascinating. So, yeah, what we'll do is we'll just dive into that. We'll let it play, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Sweet. See you on the other side.
Enjoy. So, we are here. This is podcast number 2 for us. We literally just dropped podcast number 1.
Now we're dropping number 2.
We are, and we are very delighted that Craig Reynolds is here.
This will be podcast 26 for me.
Oh, really? Are
Of
you
all
just going to
time.
hoover this one off?
Yeah, I'll take over from here, boys.
This is great because our first podcast guest happens to have a very successful drumming podcast. So, any trade secrets?
Well, you've already had one off me. Ditch the headphones if you can.
Yeah.
Because you get people to admit stuff.
Heavy
Because they
natch.
forget that they're in like a studio situation.
Great. Adam, years ago, was trying to start a podcast and did a whole episode and forgot to hit record.
I've done that, but luckily halfway through I realised and we restarted.
Oh, that was good.
But it was still... And actually, I'm not going to tell people because if they listen to this, because if they listen to my podcast, then they'll wonder which one it is. But what happened was it was going relatively badly anyway.
Oh, really?
Just it was a little bit stop-starty between the two of us because we didn't really... And we knew each other. And then the malfunction happened, and then we re-recorded, but we talked about all the same stuff again. But we were like, it was like 8 out of 10 cats. Just like, boom, 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 boom.
And, like, the ice is broken because the thing malfunctioned, right?
Yeah.
And you can kind of, we're normal people.
Yeah, and we had like... There was even we like redid the jokes.
Oh,
but there was like a quicker like rally between the two of us.
banter train.
Yeah.
So what's up? How are you?
I'm all right. I'm sat at my warm-up stuff in your lovely shop. About to, I guess, after this, I'll do some warming up and then do a nice clinic.
I don't know about you, Adam, but it was fairly impressive earlier. Eh?
It was great. It was. You have potentially the loudest snare drum in the galaxy.
I think, honestly, because I think in the UK I'm the only person with, other than people that have an actual bell brass with, like a Terminator bell brass with bell brass hoops, I think I'm the only person in the UK that has a Tama bell brass with VK bell brass hoops. So I might actually have the loudest snare drum in the country.
I don't doubt it. Does it go everywhere? Is it like the drum?
It is unbelievable. It's the best drum on earth, but it's so heavy. It's like...
How much does it weigh?
18 kilos.
Whoa.
I think it's like 19 with a hard case.
That's like half a kit.
Yeah. And so there was a stage when I would bring it around. I would fly to America with it because anytime I play any other snare drum, I just don't get the same feel from it because it's like a gun. But I would take it around airports, and basically you've just got to pretend you're not carrying something that's 18 kilos. Because if they clock you, because I'm trying to put it on as hand luggage, and they'll clock you and they go, that looks really heavy, can I just weigh that? Oh, it's 18, yeah, you've got to check that. And then you're checking a £3,000 drum in the hold with a hard case, not like a flight case.
Yeah, that'll get thrown.
Yeah, chucked around.
Yeah.
So I've got actually, probably shouldn't say this, but I will. I've got a Black Beauty that I play in America. But I just put die-cast hoops on it, so it sounds a little bit harder, yeah. And then Alan VK has just built me the same spec as the bell brass, like with the same hoops and everything, but it's all aluminium, including the hoops.
So
and the whole thing is 6 kilos.
Wow.
But it's a tank. It's a 5 mil. It's even thicker. It's 5 mil, and the hoops, but it's 5 kilos.
Do you get close to the same sound? Because aluminium's got to be drier.
Do you know what? It's so much ringier.
Really?
I was really surprised.
Yeah,
because like an acrylite is way drier than like a Black Beauty or
most aluminium snares are like that.
It's so ringy. I should have brought it.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see though.
So, what recordings have you used this bell brass on?
The new Stray from the Path album that I announced 25 minutes ago. In fact, I announced it seconds ago, but I was supposed to do it 25 minutes ago. The new album, Internal Atomics, which we recorded in, I want to say March.
Cool.
We used it on that.
In America?
In America. And what happened was our producer, Will Putney, he tried the bell brass hoop for the first time. And he's like a massive gear nerd. And he was like, I need one. Really? I absolutely need one. And so I messaged Alan and was like, can you do me, because Alan gave me a good deal on the hoops. Like I paid like a little bit more than what they cost.
Wow.
And then I said that Will really wants them because it transforms the snare sound. And Alan was just like, do me a favour, just do me the video for the Danny Carey snare. And you can just leave those hoops there and I'll give you another pair.
Oh, wow.
So he hooked me up. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that he hooked me up. I paid for them. But Will was like, this is unbelievable. When you hit the hoops on their own, they sound like Zill bells.
Yeah, I bet it's
crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
So when you combine that with like someone, like I don't ever play not a rim shot. So you get this, imagine playing a Zill bell every time you play a snare. You get that high end.
Yeah.
But it sounds unbelievable in the recording. It's just that Black Album smack.
Yeah. So what was your, sorry Chris, what was your kind of kit rundown? Is it very similar to what you use live?
No, I used the SLP steel kit.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was, I'll tell you what, I'll be 100% honest. Guards down, no headphones. I got it from Tama US. There was like one in the country at that point, and they were like, this is the one that was at NAMM. Mm-hmm. So if you want it, you can have it for like super cheap. And I was like, you know what, I'll get it, and if it's good, we'll record with it, and I'll keep it, and I'll sell I had a Birchwood Binger over there, and if it's bad, I'll just send it back to them. And we got it, and it came with G1s on it. And to be honest, in tapping it sounded pretty good out of the box, but I can't record a metal album on G1s. No. So we took the G1s off and we put clear G2s on it. The worst drum kit I've ever heard in my life. It was unbelievable. It was like bouncy balls with clear heads on it. Okay. And then we put coated G2s on it, and then it was immediately phenomenal. Wow. It's like, there's like an amount of ring, which it's the same with a bell brass. It is, if you had like a spectrum of ring where 12 o'clock is a perfect snare sound, 1 is too ringy, and 11 is just right. It's like, if something's slightly too ringy, it's too ringy.
It's really weird because people ask us about that all the time, and you don't realise how much of a difference it can make. Clear versus coated.
It's unbelievable. And then, so the other thing we did was we put, like a little bit of Oral X foam like that.
Yeah.
Just put a little bit of that inside the shell, and it just breaks up the vibrations very slightly. But Will loved it. Our producer loved it so much that he said, I'll split this kit with you, and you can just leave it in here. It'll be your US kit. So when you tour, you can take it, but I'm going to record everything from now on with that kit. Wow, so I've seen videos of him doing, I don't know who he's done since then.
I guess that kind of goes to show as well that there is like a right head for a right kit as well. You know.
Yeah.
In a
Drums
way.
in their sweet spots and all that.
Yeah, totally.
How do you get that energy, man? See that live energy you have? How do you capture that recording? Because that's one of the things that growing up's really difficult when you're recording to capture that kind of energy.
I never get that kind of energy. I never get it as much as I want it.
Mm-hmm.
I always come out of the studio thinking I could have hit harder, or I could have done this, I could have done that. But it's weird. I don't think you can ever get the same like alpha game mode as you can as like there being an audience in front of you.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll choke up in the studio. I think I'm, in terms of this recording versus the last one, I definitely was more prepared for this one, and I played worse.
Right. Okay.
In my head, played worse.
Would you ever do a live album, do you think?
We did one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did. It's called Smash. Did either of you watch Always Sunny?
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
So do you know the episode when they go to the school reunion
Yes.
and they do the thing outside with the beers, smash them up?
Oh yeah.
And they shotgun the beer and they smash it on the
Smash
They
it
go,
on the
smash it up, smash it up. And they smash. So we started, when I joined the band, a couple of guys in the band are straight edge, so they don't drink or anything. But we started, before each show, we would shotgun a Red Bull and then chuck them on the ground and go, smash them up, smash them up. And they just literally stole it from that. So we did a live album on our last Euro run in February. We had a sound guy, Julian, French guy, who was amazing. And one day he was just like, oh, this is not racist, but I'm going to do a French accent. I recorded the set today. And we were like, oh, cool, let's hear it. And it was like a mixed album. And we were like, holy shit. So on the road, we just paid him. And we recorded one song in each city
Cool.
of the set.
Yeah.
So I believe the Glasgow one is Good Night Alt Right, which is one of our biggest songs.
Sweet.
And it was tough.
Because that was going to be like, how was the energy live for that? You know, was it very different? Obviously, it's a different process because you get one pop at it.
Definitely rushing. We only play half the set with a click as well.
Right. Okay.
So you can hear. I think I honestly, it makes me feel better about my playing when I listen back to the live album, because we were pretty adamant to not edit anything whatsoever, because there's so many people that have like live albums and live videos and they're overdubbed.
Yeah.
People don't realise what you can get away with.
Yeah.
And it's quite scary as well, like how in depth it can get as well.
Oh, there's a Slayer DVD, War at the Warfield, and it's so overdubbed that you can hear crashes when he's not hitting crashes and stuff like that.
Man.
And it's like, you didn't need to do that, but someone in the studio has had that decision and they've made it sound like a CD. But we were like, let's just keep it 100% natural. And now I can actually, if I'm actually feeling bad about my playing, which is almost every day, I can go back and listen and be like, I fully did that. Because I'm guilty of it sometimes. I'll like tweak, especially in the studio.
Especially when you shotgun Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly. But people have like an expectation of tightness, which is unnatural. People see everyone like, who do I hate that I can actually say their name? But you know, like the drummers that have their YouTube videos and they're fully quantized.
Yeah.
That's now people's perspective of a drummer, which doesn't exist. So to like have something out there which I know is 100% my playing.
The same thing happened with Autotune when it first came out as well. So they would genuinely good singers would go into the studio and they would sound amazing, and then as soon as Autotune came around, they would Autotune bad singers to sound great, which then made the naturally talented singers not sound as close.
Yeah, because they've got a chip on their shoulder, and I'm not using Autotune, and then actually people think they're worse.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember
and then they had to get Autotuned because of that, you know.
Reading an interview with Vinny, and he was doing a session, and he'd done a track, and he finished the take, and by the time he walked from the studio to the control room to listen to it, the guy was putting it on the grid. And he's like, he didn't say anything. He's like, I'm just gridding you, man. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And he listened back. He's like, that sounds terrible. Why does that sound terrible? He says, it sounds terrible because you've put me on the grid.
Yeah.
I'm deliberately not there. People aren't even listening. Before they've actually listened back to it, he's trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Without actually any context.
And that's the way people do it now, and especially in metal, because no one can play like Superior Drummer, and everyone's, except for Alex Rudinger, no one can play like Superior. Seriously, I've asked for the stems of his files before I knew him, off a guy that I know that was mixing it, because I was like, I don't believe this guy's videos are true. Give me the fucking stems. Oh, didn't say that.
That's all right.
Cut that bit
It's all
out.
good. No, no, no.
Again.
Oh, good.
Give me the stems, and I want to see. And none of it's on the grid, but it sounds gridded. Anyway, people are just used to that in metal. So there's stuff that's gridded in every metal album you've ever listened to. There's stuff that's gridded,
Yeah.
except
Triggered.
maybe the new Slipknot doesn't sound gridded.
Right.
I'm sure they've cleaned some stuff up, but it's very live.
Do you know Ali Richardson?
I love Ali.
Yeah, we had a good chat with him about this stuff, because he did our drum show 2 years ago,
No, it was last year. It was 2018,
just before you started.
just before I started.
Yeah, and Ali's a monster at all that
He's
stuff.
unbelievable.
And we were talking about, he doesn't use triggers and things, because that's obviously big in your industry, right? In
Yeah.
the metal world, triggers.
Especially, I've got nothing wrong with triggers live because I don't use them. But if you play badly on triggers, it sounds worse than if you had a mic. Because if you play a little feathered 16th note by accident that the gate on a microphone is going to get rid of, if you play that on a trigger, it's coming out.
Yeah.
So you can go. But in the studio, people do that after. They'll just find every snare and then they'll just add a sample on that snare. I know of a metal album, I'm not going to say what it is, and it's got blast beats in it, like really fast blast beats, where somebody was paid to go through the whole thing and replace the snare with the same snare sample. There was no dynamics whatsoever, just the same WAV file. No funny turn this one up, turn this one down. They just popped in the same one.
Wow. Whoa. Boring, eh?
Not going to tell you what it is, but and the album sounds incredible. That's the thing. It doesn't sound like that's happened. It's weird.
Yeah.
Ali makes a point of that, the way he purposely says whenever he uploads stuff, there are no samples in this. There is no triggering.
Yeah.
This is 100%
tricks.
raw. Just
He's very tight and he drinks so much, and it just makes me jealous because he'll play a show and then he'll party like an animal. I've hidden from him on tour before. I had to sleep. He'll remember this if he listens to it. I had to sleep in a cupboard. We were in Manchester. I had to sleep in a cupboard because he was looking for me. And it was 5 a.m. and I had a flight at 7 a.m.
Brilliant.
And he was just hunting me down. But then he'll go and play an insane show.
Yeah. I got to see them at St. Luke's last year, the year before, and it was incredible to watch. Amazing band. Amazing band.
Yeah, I'm glad they're back. They dipped out for a while and they had some management issues. And then...
But they're killing.
Yeah, and they're really good.
did you ever try their beer they brought
I
out?
did not. I was promised some, but...
Ali.
Ali.
If you're
Cut
listening,
that,
I was
Ali.
promised.
We'll make sure we tag him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
tag
that-
him.
Yeah. Just so that he has to have to brew you just one bottle.
He also turned down my podcast a couple of times.
No, wait.
And now I've had people from Slipknot and Matt Gartzko and stuff, and now he's like, "Yeah, we'll do it one day." I'm like, "I don't care if you don't do it, but I want to have you on."
He's
So
getting pelters the next time I see him.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Ali's a great what's especially nice for the shop as Ali was a long-term customer of ours and championed us for years. So to be able to pay it back and have him on was amazing. And it was his very first clinic as well. He hadn't done one before, and he
hometown
got,
show.
He did. He got a hometown show, and he got the best audience of the day out of all the drummers that were on that day. They were the most attentive. They asked him the most questions. They asked him sensible questions, and he got the kids involved. It was amazing to watch. So yeah,
He needs to do more.
he's getting there, I think.
Yeah.
So what about you? How much of this do you get to do now?
This will be my third one.
Really?
Yeah, so
Second one for us and third one overall.
yeah, I did Manchester Drum Show, and then I did your other one,
Yeah.
and I did this one. This will be my fourth. Actually, I did Wembley, but Wembley was like a in-store Meinl takeover, so there was a lot of people there that weren't there to see me.
Oh, okay.
So in a way, it was a bit weird.
Right.
The shop's amazing and everyone was nice, but in my head, it was weird because I was like, do half of this room I can't even speak English. I'm about to speak in front of people for 2 hours. Do half of the people in this room not know who I am, and they're either bored with the talking side or they're bored with the playing side. So it was a bit weird. At least with this, I
They're all
know.
here for you.
Yeah, most of them, hopefully.
Well, what I liked about when we first had you on in Leeds was I think sometimes a clinician can go too much either side. like they can either talk too much or play too much.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas you had the right kind of balance, I thought.
I painfully tried to figure that out because I'm the same. If I go to a clinic and someone just shreds, I'm like, can you teach me how to do some of that? Or if I go to a clinic where someone's teaching me how to do a double stroke roll for an hour, I'm like, come on, mate, you got to get that. I've actually learnt there's actually one more section of talking in this clinic set than there is in any of the other ones, because in my head, looking back on it, I was like, I do need to explain some more things a little bit.
I suppose that's one of the things, though. It comes from experience, much like playing. I suppose like you're only going to get better the more you do it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it also makes me feel better if I've played a bit crap. Then I can be like, at least they learned something.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've done one or two. It's nerve-wracking, man. Like standing up in front of people that are looking at you.
It's 10 times worse than I played main stage Hellfest in France to 45,000 people, and this is way worse.
Yeah, it's 50 drummers in Glasgow, just eagerly awaiting, and they'll ask you questions that you might not be prepped for,
and they know every mistake when it happens. Let's not talk about this, but they know. But on the other side, I'm trying to do a sort of message these days. I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, but some kid commented on a Vic Firth. Basically, Vic Firth filmed the whole of my first clinic.
Right.
And they messaged me saying, we're going to put this song up next. Do you want it up? And it was one of the ones that I played badly. It was the last set. I was tired. The last song of the set, I was tired. Just didn't play good. Wasn't rehearsed on it enough.
I think I saw this the other day.
And then this kid commented on it. Feet are all over the place here. Or dragging or something like that. And I was like, and then loads of other kids replying like, yeah, all this shit. And usually I don't care because I literally don't care. It's like some faceless little nerd. I don't care.
Yeah,
but this one kid that made the comment, I went to his channel because I always do have a look. Most of the time they're racists for some reason. But I'll go and have a look. And he had like really good content. Pro film. It was quantized to fuck. Right. But it was... I keep swearing, I'm really sorry.
It's okay, sorry.
It was like quantized, but the video production was incredible and the sounds were incredible. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to reply to this kid. And I replied to him and I was like, basically, not that I have to explain myself to you, but here's the deal. I just played badly. Sometimes when you're lucky enough to get this to where it's your job, most of the time someone is filming you. And do you ever have 100% good days? No. Sometimes someone is going to film you a bad day. And it's my drum clinic. My first one, I was nervous. That's why I'm rushing. I'm not actually dragging, so you're wrong. I'm rushing, all this stuff. And then I had a little dig in it as well. And I was just like, yeah, you know, I had the choice. I had this audio. I mixed this audio before it went to Vic Firth. I could have fixed it, but I'm trying to present a realistic image of pro drummers. So I didn't quantize it, and it's pretty easy to see if something's quantized. Winky face, right? And then he admitted it. He replied. He was like, "Yeah, I quantized," and I was like,
"Yeah, well, don't." You know,
what is your channel then? Why you're just miming?
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know, I just put this on my Instagram, and it got like 3,000 likes of like every drummer that this kid probably looks up to, and I didn't realize that he had like a reasonably big Instagram channel, and people were like tagging him in it, but he had like Eloy from Sepultura and Mario from Gojira and stuff like commenting and liking on it, and I was like, because the kid should have just kept his mouth shut and not been quantizing.
Yeah, totally.
I put my hands up. It was sloppy. It was sloppy.
Good.
But
Good. Yeah, because you're human.
Exactly, and I put it on the internet, and if anything, it's made me practice that song more. Yeah, because it was sloppy, but I knew that before. Not the kid's comment didn't make me practice it more, but the fact that I watched the video back, I went, ooh, oh dear.
Yeah, Michael talked about it. You know, you're your biggest critic. You know, you yourself will be. What does Craig Reynolds do when he's not playing the drums?
I feel like there should have been like a theme tune in there.
Where everybody knows your name.
When I'm not playing the drums, I have one other hobby, and it's lifting weights. And unfortunately, with both things being so physical, I destroy myself because I'm bored off tour. We got months and months off tour.
Right.
And I love playing the drums, so I'll play the drums every other day at least. And I love going to the gym, so I'll go to the gym like 6 days a week. And then I'll get like 3 weeks in, and then I'll hit a brick wall of being bad at both things because I can't physically recover from it because I'm 32. No, I think just like getting knackered, and I can't take a break from either because I'm so bored. I need a third hobby. I've tried everything else. I've tried computer games. I've tried all that, and I like it for like 2 seconds. But I love the drums and the gym. So I got into latte art. Got pretty good at that.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I saw that on your Instagram actually.
That took ages.
Yeah.
It took like 6 weeks of throwing away or drinking or throwing away at least 6 coffees a day.
Seriously, wow.
Yeah.
So let's go deep. Does that mean that you got properly into brewing and how and like the milk consistency and heat and coffee shouldn't be 100 degrees and
I've got it all. I've got the temperature thing. I've got a nice espresso machine. I've got an AeroPress. I've got a gooseneck kettle thing.
Gooseneck kettle?
Because I either have black coffee, it would either be like a V60 or a filter or an AeroPress, or I'll have a flat white from the espresso machine.
I feel like now on tour, whenever you get a coffee, it's just like, dude, you're doing it wrong.
That is the most annoying thing about it is like, even if I buy the most gourmet, I buy the best beans that I can afford without my wife being like, why are you spending £100 on coffee beans? So I buy like a bag of beans, and it's a kilo of beans, and it will last me nearly a month, and it's 30 quid for the kilo, which seems like a lot of money for coffee when you can go to Tesco and get a £2 bag of coffee. But
it's not as good though, right?
it's no way near as good. I'm having twice a day. I'm having a coffee that I can never match. And if I go to a posh coffee place and then I pay £3.50 and then it's worse than what I make at home, it's
Because they burn the milk or something.
livid 100% all the time.
Yeah.
Or they don't change the coffee filter enough.
Yeah.
Like, and it's proper, like, old school. I had that in, I'm not going to say the brand, but shame.
Yeah, I mean, get the takeout coffee thing, like 80 quid a month, easily do that if you work in the city.
Oh, 100%.
Get off the bus or the train and hit the coffee shop on the way to work.
£3 for a coffee.
Yep, man.
Good save. Pro broadcaster,
Nailed
good
it.
save.
So coffee art is a thing.
Yeah.
Are you into like throwing knives around?
No, but
No.
coffee art, the thing with coffee art is, I'll take you deeper, is you've got 3 types of milk in coffee.
Right.
You've got just a normal milk.
Mm-hmm.
You've got cappuccino foam,
Right.
which has large bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have micro foam, which has small bubbles, which is what's in a latte. And that's why you can do the art with it.
Micro and macro.
So when people don't know what a flat white or a cappuccino, what's different? Cappuccino has the froth on the top, but a flat white is essentially a cappuccino, but it's made with latte milk. And you can only do the pictures when you've got the microfoam. And to do that, you need to let the right amount of air in and spin it in the actual cup while you're doing it with the steam wand. Because if you just dump it in, it makes cappuccino foam. But if you ride the top of it and get it to swirl around and just let little bits of air in, like this, which looks suspect, you get the latte art stuff.
And so you do it with a steam wand.
Steam wand on an espresso machine.
Wow. Do you reckon that you could do Guinness art? You know, when you get a pint of Guinness, they draw a shamrock on it.
Give me 6 weeks. and YouTube.
And a Guinness pump.
And a Guinness pump. Yeah, that's what I must have... It literally took about 6 weeks.
I can't wait for your Instagram on trying to get the Guinness foam. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's dangerous. Yeah, I was six pint of Guinness today. Other than that, I don't really do anything. I need more hobbies. I've thought about playing guitar, but I just don't care.
Yeah.
I've thought about...
We did martial arts for a bit, we talked about that earlier.
Did Muay Thai for about 6 months, and then I hurt my hip.
Yeah.
And it was just because... essentially what I did was, I need a third hobby because my 2 other hobbies are too physical. Oh, I know, I'll do a martial art. It's so dumb. I don't have a 50% switch on anything.
Yeah. Do you find like you need something? Because I've been doing martial arts really well, and one of the reasons I really like it is it occupies all your brain space. you can't think about anything else while you're doing it.
Oh, you don't. It's the same with drums and the same with gym.
So we don't do things like
Basically, I hate myself.
mountain biking or something, like downhill biking or something.
It's still athletic though, isn't it?
No.
I tried. Honestly, I did try cycling, and then my double kick went to shite. It was
Really?
Just, yeah,
Wow.
just
Okay.
really bad.
Because that's how I was going to say. How does the gym inform the playing?
So I'm in the midst of an experiment right now because I have a thing that I talk about on my podcast quite a lot, and then every other drummer has it that I know that plays in a metal band, which is just sometimes your feet just don't work. We can't figure out what it is, and I'm trying to figure out which muscle it is specifically that fatigues that makes it happen. Because I know a lot of Diane from Architects, a lot of my friend drummers, they have it where they're just a night on tour where their feet just will not do what they want to do. So I'm trying to figure out, is it hamstrings, is it this, is that? I thought I had it covered. So what I've done the last 3 weeks, I haven't done legs at the gym. And I know a lot of people skip leg day anyway, but I'm the opposite. So I'll squat 3 times a week easily, like heavy as well. So in my head, I was like, maybe it's something to do with the fact that I squat so much. So I've taken 3 weeks off squatting and deadlifting. I'm not doing any of that. And yesterday, actually, I had a day where my feet were crap. So it's not that. So I'm straight back on the squats tomorrow.
Oh man, that's going to be brutal.
Adam started lifting again, eh?
I try to, yeah, but
It's the best.
yeah. I purposely do leg day on a Monday because it's like, man,
Get out of the way. Do you know what? Actually, a really good thing to start doing is do less more frequently. It's like almost like what we were talking about earlier. So I will go push day, so like bench and other push exercises, pull day, so deadlifts, back, legs, day off, and then repeat that again. I don't know if you want to go to the gym 6 days a week. Repeat, or even if you took 2 days off, then repeat that again, but with slightly different exercises, and you'll hurt way less.
yeah,
But if you take 3 weeks off, then it's going to really hurt.
that's going to be brutal.
Because the recovery, it's weird. The recovery is like, sometimes I'll overdo it on tour, and I'll play badly because I've overdone it at the gym. But then on the flip side, there'll be maybe if there's 4 or 5 days in a row where there's been no gym or long drives, I play badly anyway because I'm too tight.
Yeah, tired as well, probably.
Yeah, so what I've done is I've started warming up. I never used to warm up before I play, and now you can see I've got this lovely little setup.
For those of you, well, obviously no one can see, he has Iron Cobra double and a reflex pad. So I'm going to put yourself through the paces, right?
And a Gibraltar bass drum practice pad, which is the only bass drum practice pad that works. It's the only one that doesn't move. Look at that.
Do you think Reflex should make one?
I mean, they could, but
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
this is perfect. But like all of the other brands,
Is it weighted differently or is it just bigger?
yeah, it's just they've hit the sweet spot. It's got spurs on it. Like when you see those little tiny ones that just move around, they're for the people that just do this.
Yeah.
But I need to warm up like
Yeah.
actual fast stuff.
I think I seen someone on Instagram they had 2 reflex pads and they put like one of them on like a.
Doesn't Stan Bicknell use a whole like reflex pad kit?
I think he's got he just uses an electric kick drum
Right.
for his kick though.
Wow.
He still just has the reflex.
That's gonna hurt him.
He did have like 4 or 5 like
Yeah.
reflex pads. I remember seeing that.
Like if you've ever done it, I've done a wedding gig on an electronic kit. 4 hours of hitting that is not good.
Really?
Yeah, it's yeah. Because naturally, what happens is you forget that you don't need to hit it as hard, so you still hit it like you're playing the bass drum, and because you're not moving any air or getting any sound back, despite it being in your ears, you overcompensate. So by the end of the first half, your leg's like, nah, please stop that. Please don't keep doing that, and then you've got another 2 hours to play.
Where did you get it? Hip fatigue? Or
Well,
is
I
it-
got it my hamstring and my calf, because you'll then like, this is really, really boring.
No,
But then you
this
do
is
things,
this is amazing. This is the stuff I'm trying to figure out.
sorry, then you get things like, okay, I've been hitting it really hard, I'm going to play heel down. So you do like
That's
45
when your
minutes
calf
heel down,
goes, yeah.
and you're just like, I haven't played heel down since I was 8 years old. You know what I mean? So like, or played, like if I'm playing, I used to play a lot of jazz music, so if I was playing quietly, then heel down's fine.
Yeah.
Because you're not hitting a bass drum all the time. But if you're playing wedding band tunes and you've got your heel down, so then your calf gets it, your shin gets it, and it's just an ongoing battle between those two.
Yeah, something fails and then something else compensates.
And on top of it all, it's like hitting concrete.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very nice.
You know, unless you get like Yamaha make a KP 120 and it's made from silicon, and it feels really good.
I think that actually might be the one that Stan
And I
uses.
know Roland, as you get higher up their catalogue, they make mesh ones as well. But
This one feels nice.
yeah, it looks
Quite like it.
On the subject of wedding gigs, I'm just curious about this. Would you ever do a wedding gig?
I did a wedding band when I was 16 to probably about... No, I was 18 because I definitely was drinking. From like...
Gotta get through it somehow, right?
18... I think probably I did it for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was great money. And I was playing. It was when I just had like bands that played in pubs or whatever. It was great money. I definitely got better at the drums from doing it.
Yeah, a lot of people rag on it, but if you can compartmentalize it.
I think, luckily, I don't need to do it, but if
Yeah.
it got to the point where I had to get a quote-unquote day job, it would be that.
Yeah.
There's no way that I'm going to go to an office or something.
No.
Nor do you want to.
Well, like, if
Horrific.
you've never had to do it and you're 32, like, that's just not happening.
This is the thing I was talking to my wife the other day. It's like, I've only had 2 jobs.
Drums and...
No, I had 2 jobs that weren't drums.
Right.
And one of them was working in a music distributor.
Oh,
I was working for Plastic Head, which does all the metal stuff down south.
Great.
It's like Nuclear Blast, Metal Blade and everything. Which is where the label that my band at the time was on, so it kind of worked out, because if I needed time off, it was like...
They understood.
You can't take that time off. And I'd be like, do you want to go into that office there and tell that man that you won't give me time off to do the tour, to sell the records that he's trying to sell? And then they would always just get away with it. And then I worked in an off license. And while I was working in the warehouse, I had a sweet deal where it was like I would do one day a week I wouldn't work, and I started teaching, started doing a drum lessons thing, and then the more that built up, I just kept getting the days off, and it ended up I would do Monday to Wednesday at the warehouse in the music distributor, and then I would do Thursday, Friday teaching, and then they fired me because they were like, you need to be in there 5 days a week, and then I worked in an off license for the same amount of time. And then it got to the point where it was just like, well, now I need to take Wednesdays off because I'm doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday teaching. And then it got to the point where Monday to Friday was teaching, and it was cool.
Oh, cool.
And while I wasn't in a band, I was like between bands doing session stuff. I was teaching, and I was doing like 25, 30 lessons a week.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
That's
I
good.
was loaded.
Totally. Like,
It was so cool. But it was like, if I hadn't had that time off tour, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to, like, now fund, the awkward transition period where you are a professional musician, but you do need a day job.
Yeah.
Do you still teach?
No. Now it's got to the point where I don't need to, which is... But
It could be a thing for you, 5 months off, online lessons or something.
I do get offered for people doing it and stuff, but I'm like... Where my studio is, there's like a dodgy set of stairs to get up to the studio and all that stuff, and it's like mostly kids, and I'm like, I just don't want to teach a kid and it falls down the stairs, and then I've got public liability insurance with the MU, but I don't want to like. And the other thing, when I was when I was in the transition period. Sorry, I'm used to having my own podcast, so I do all the fucking talking.
Sorry, it's good.
When I was doing the transition period of between teaching and touring, when I was just getting in bands that were touring a lot, if I'd go away for 2 or 3 months, I'd come back, and you just get certain students. I was one of them back in the day. They need a lesson every week, or else they don't get better.
Yeah.
And
You get bored. And
the grades, I could see that my average grade that everyone was getting slightly less on the kids that weren't having the weekly lessons. The kids that I would go, look, I'm away for 6 weeks. Here's your 6 weeks of stuff to do. And they would do it. They all still passed with flying colours. I never had anyone fail, but I saw some were struggling with me being away. So now I'm away 6 months out of the year, so I can't really... I still do. If someone messaged me and they're like, oh, can you do a
hit me up.
one-off 2-hour lesson, then I'll do it.
Right.
But I just can't commit to the business. What time is it?
Yeah, I'm conscious that in about 20 minutes you need to start playing. So
I do start warming up.
yeah, we should let Craig go and warm up.
So, your podcast?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, where can we find you? Yeah.
Downbeat. It's on all the normal podcast things. Apple, Spotify. Got people like Matt Gasker was on the latest one, Mike Johnston.
I've just started listening to the Mike Johnston one, actually.
The guy is an absolute guru. Love him to death. Who else? V-Man from Slipknot. Just loads of people. Architects, Dan from Architects, Dan from Carcass. Ali Richardson's not on there yet.
Yet.
Doing a big guy on Manchester Drum Show this year, hopefully.
Right.
Is that podcast related? Doing a big guy? Sorry, that
Yeah.
was not a
I mean both. No, but they just spoke to me and said, "Come on your podcast." I was like, "Yes, definitely." So
Sweet.
I'm not going to say who it is in case it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
As people spoke to your people, and you're going to do lunch.
we're going to do lunch, yeah.
Good.
Where can people find you online?
At Reynlord, REYNORD. Is that right? Yeah, Reynlord. REYNLORD. Yeah, that's it. And it's a stupid name that when I was making my Instagram, I thought I'll make it sound like I'm in a black metal band, even though I'm not. And I just never changed it.
So is that on the Twitters and the Insta?
On everything,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me. I hope I'm not going to be bad in front of all these people.
No, I'm sure you'll be amazing. Looking forward to it. And we will probably put this out in about 6 months or something.
Probably, yeah.
No,
That's a long time.
Well, the first one we sat on for like a month, but we'll probably put this one out quite quickly because the first one is out.
If you want my advice, how many are you planning on doing?
We don't know. We have zero plans for it.
I
Like,
wouldn't
we're
try
just,
and...
we're just going to maybe bi-weekly or something like that.
That's honestly the best to do it, to stay. If it charts, it will stay in the charts.
Mhm.
And then your monthly listener stats is what anyone ever wants to hear about when you're like getting a guest or whatever. They'll go, what's your monthlies? And if you've got an average of 10,000 listeners each episode and you do that twice a month, then you've got 20,000 monthly listeners. And then people will just... You get guys from Slipknot on it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Sweet.
Well,
Cool.
thank you very much, man, and I hope
Thanks,
you
man.
enjoy
Thanks,
your performance.
guys.
See
I'm gonna warm
ya.
up. Woo.
So, Craig Reynolds.
What a guy.
Did you enjoy the clinic, firstly?
Do you know, it was amazing. I think what he was able to do, especially on a sort of smaller setup than what he usually uses. He usually uses a 24-inch bass drum. He was using a 22, and it was on a 4-piece kit as well.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Props.
he hits them drums.
He does. You were right about that snare drum. Insane piece of kit.
Yeah.
So for those of you that weren't here, and if you haven't listened to the first podcast, Adam talked about that Craig uses a Tama bell brass with bell brass hoops.
Yep.
And it's amazing. It
Yes.
sounds incredible.
And he's totally right about the hoops on their own sounding like Zill bells.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Like, yeah.
bet.
So it's...
But we're going to nerd out a little bit on the gear. He plays a 4-piece kit and plays quite extreme metal. And he makes it work really well.
Yeah, he's...
Like, very few cymbals. I think he had 2 crashes, a China ride, and some stacks and a splash
Mhm.
hats. That was it.
Yeah.
Um,
Nothing overly fancy or complex, just
No.
all it had to be.
yeah, and it blew my mind. He was playing a Meinl 21 polyphonic ride and made that ride work for the music.
Mhm.
I was just like, because I was like, really? When I saw it on his set, I was like, he's going to play that? And it was great.
Yeah.
The bell's mega. It's a huge bell, but the
course.
cymbal's really thin. And it did not feel like it was out of place at all. For
Yeah.
a big, thin, dark ride, he made it work really well.
Because you would have thought, from the outside looking in, especially with Craig, you would have thought he would have been using something quite washy because of the style of music that he usually
like
plays.
a mega bell or something.
Yeah,
like
something,
Like
yeah.
a noisy kind of like manhole cover or something.
Yeah,
you
a
know.
little bit,
But
yeah.
no, it was great. And he taught really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think any clinician that spends time teaching away from the kit like he did on the pad is, they've just got really dialed in. I thought it was
Yeah.
really...
That's one thing I said to him even in the chat. Like, obviously, you've all heard that part. Hopefully. But that's one thing I think he's got a really good balance of. You know, this is his 3rd ever clinic,
Yeah.
or 4th ever clinic, technically. And he just had a really nice balance of, you know, teaching versus performing, you know.
Yeah, and like was quite happy to step out of his comfort zone and play some fusion
Mm-hmm.
that he nailed.
Yeah.
The guy's really great, man. And that sounds really surprising. I'm not surprised at all. He wouldn't be where he is if
Totally.
he wasn't amazing.
Totally.
But it was just great to see a guy who has a inverted commas box. He's in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Come out of that box and do different stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, just a top geese.
Plus, he can eat.
Yeah,
Like-
man. We had a Greg's down. He had like 3 vegan sausage rolls or something.
Oh, so that's its own story as well, the Greg's. So we got a Just Eat to the shop because obviously we were all working at the shop, so we couldn't leave and go and get food. And there was like a Greg's about 2 or 3 miles away that was still open till like 7:30. And it was like touching cloth, man. Like it was close. I don't know if we're allowed to say that on here, but I've said it anyway. It's too late. It was like close call before Craig was starting his clinic, and we obviously had to record the podcast. So Just Eat driver got lost. Gordon was freaking out.
He was out in the rain trying to find this guy. The guy was phoning him. They were batting it back and forward.
I'm certain I saw him get into a car at one point and pull someone out of the car.
Give it. He's got. It was funny. So Craig threw his dinner down his face, podcasted, warmed up, and then went and played. It's quite amazing to watch.
Yep.
But yeah, just a really great sort of addition to our clinic roster now that we've had. Lovely fella, cracking lad, cracking player.
Mm-hmm.
Pleasure.
Totally. Who have we got coming up next, Chris, for clinics?
Benny Greb.
Benny Greb, Granny Babe.
Yeah, Benny Greb's coming to both our branches. He's coming to Leeds on Halloween. And then
Are we going to dress up for that?
Well, I'll be in Glasgow, so I'll probably be entertaining the kids of my new street, because apparently the street I live in, Halloween is a massive deal.
Is it really?
It is. And also, really strangely, they have it on the 30th and not the 31st.
No, why is that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I'm sure someone will tell me. But I will... I don't know. Thursday night, I'll probably be off that night because it's my day off. So I think Jake should dress up. Jake's always game for dressing up.
Jake's always...
So I wonder if Benny will dress up. How cool would that be?
How cool would it be, right? I had this thought last week. How cool would it be if someone dressed up as Benny Greb and got a photo with Benny Greb?
Free pair of drumsticks to the first person to do that.
And I'm talking, like, you can't skimp on it. I
No.
want, like, if you're going to go Benny Greb, you shave your head.
Yep.
Like, no
Totally.
bald cap at
No.
all.
Yep.
Grow your beard.
Yep, do it.
Start now.
Yep. And then we have him here in Glasgow on Friday, the 1st of November, in the Mitchell Theatre. So very, very, very much looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to get to see him twice this year, because he'll, as are you actually, because he'll be at the UK Drum Show.
That's right, yeah.
On the
We're
Saturday
going down.
night. So I feel like a Benny doubleheader is exactly where it's at.
I mean, like, I'm happy enough seeing Benny once, let alone twice. You know?
Well, this will be his third visit to Drummers Only. 2006, I think. I want to say like 2012, and now. So yeah, it's like.
Did he come in 2006?
Yeah, he
I
was
did not know
the second or third clinic that the shop ever put on.
Wow.
Him and Rodney Holmes and Ryan Ross, who was teaching with us at the time,
Mm-hmm.
they did a triple header, and I missed it because I had a gig, I think, or I had something on that I couldn't get out of, and it was already booked before the clinic was booked. So yeah, I unfortunately didn't see it. But I
Man.
did see some video footage of it, and it was very, very, very good.
You must have been kicking yourself.
I was raging. And Rodney Holmes was really big deal at the time because he had just done the Modern Drummer show the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So Benny was actually supporting Rodney Holmes.
Wow.
So it was Ryan, then Benny, then Rodney. That was the way it went.
Isn't it crazy how
It
the
is.
world works? It's
Yeah, because
mental.
Benny hadn't quite hit the stratosphere at that point. He was
Yeah.
very much on the way. But he hadn't brought out his DVDs. He hadn't done any of the cool stuff he's subsequently done.
Yeah.
And then the second time we put him on was a clinic in his own right. And he was amazing. And he did a meet and greet with everyone that wanted to hang. So he was signing autographs for the guts of an hour.
Wow.
90 minutes, because it's like his thing. But
Yeah.
after the clinic, he makes sure that he meets everybody, because some people don't want to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to ask him the question in the lineup.
Yeah.
And he spends time with everybody. He's amazing.
How did you find, because you're usually the, I guess for lack of a better term, the artist liaison between all the clinicians we have in the shop, how did you find it meeting Benny Greb for the first time?
Well, these guys like Benny are so super chill that it's just like meeting one of your pals.
Yeah.
There's no weird egos or airs and graces. It was great, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, super cool.
I've heard that about everybody who's met Benny Greb. Is like, it's kind of similar to meeting Mike Johnson. I've heard it's like they've got all the time in the world for you because you've spent your money, your hard-earned money, to come and see them. So
because the way they see it is that you're investing in them.
Yeah.
So time, and you're right, money, time, all that stuff is you're investing in them as people and them as players, and he wants to get back.
Yeah,
so
totally.
yeah, he was super cool, man. Nothing but good things to say about.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been anybody mental in all the clinics we've put on over the years. There's been no one who's been difficult at all.
You guys have been pretty, not strategic, that's the wrong word to use, but pretty lucky in the way of, like, you've never had that, like, diva, if you will.
No,
like, not that anyone is, but...
No, it's really, really simple. They send you through a rider, and you just make sure that everything on the rider is there and don't give anybody any cause for complaint.
Yeah, totally.
So, if someone sends through a request and you don't meet it, it's maybe quite integral to them on their travels, to them doing their clinic.
Mm-hmm.
There's people tend to stress what they want for a reason.
Yeah.
Most drummers that come, if they haven't got a kit rig in the country, like Simon Phillips had a rig in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a rig he's got a rig in Europe, a rig in America, and a rig in the Far East.
Mm-hmm.
So they just send him the kit. It's like we don't even have to worry about that. But
Yeah.
if he's like, I need the X, Y, and Z, can you please provide it? And you don't, well, you're already on the back foot.
Yeah, totally.
So, Todd Zuckerman had his drum request was really simple. He gave us a list of like 4 pedal ranges. It can be this kit from any one of these ranges.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not precious about it. The one thing he was really precious about was the drum stool. He had a very specific drum stool he wanted. So you just make sure that that's there and we're all good.
Yeah. What was it? Do you remember?
It was a 40 quid drum stool. I'm not kidding. It was like a D790 or something.
Wow.
It was just like he sits on a really cheap throne.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that was his only request, and it was in bold, like it had to be that. So yeah, you just make sure that that's there, and we're done. We're good. So if you do that with everybody,
Yeah.
and that's how we do it.
And I guess for me, before I was even an employee of the store, like I always got the vibe that from clinicians coming into the shop that they were always excited about coming here because maybe it is just like that. Like they've heard from, because the music industry isn't really all that big when you really look at it. Like
No, especially
everyone
the
knows
drum
everyone.
industry.
Yeah, so obviously word gets round.
Well,
so,
maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. All I know is we try our best to do a good job and make people feel at home.
Yeah.
Especially if you've come from the States. These guys have travelled a long way, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing their families. They're not in their usual routines. They're probably really tired.
Mm-hmm.
So you just make sure you take care of them and make it really simple.
Yeah.
And read the room. If they're busy,
Mm-hmm.
don't ask them questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like don't get in anybody's face. Like it's just like if you're busy at work
Mm-hmm.
and someone's asking you silly questions about, what you ate for dinner last night, like, you just like.
I mean, you do
maybe-
ask me that
yeah,
when
but
I'm busy, but
Yeah, but you'll go like, dude, go away.
dude,
You know what I
fish
mean?
and chips,
Yeah.
obviously.
So it's like as long as you're sensitive to what they're doing and what they're there to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not there. They'll do the hang later. That'll come later on.
Yeah.
And we can ask all the questions we like. But when they're working, they're working.
Yeah.
Dead easy.
Same as when Craig was here. Like he was more than happy to sit and chat with us for a while.
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, like because you obviously like these guys have to they're here to put on a show.
Yeah,
So
totally, man. And he
we
was-
were very respectful and just
Yeah,
like, man,
like-
have you got enough time?
yeah, you needed
So-
time to warm up. So okay, cool, right? We've hit that. We're done.
Yep.
Let's go. And that's it. Hopefully, we just keep on keeping on getting it right.
Keep on trucking, as they
So
say.
it's been a big Meinl focus with Conics, with Craig, and with Benny coming. And you went to the factory.
I did go to the factory.
How was
Chris.
that, man?
It was pretty surreal, if I'm totally honest, because I have always known Meinl. It's kind of like the best way I've described it to people is that way you see the Heinz logo everywhere,
Uh-huh.
and then all of a sudden you're in the place where it's made. It doesn't quite feel right in a
Mhm.
way. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I doing at this place?
Yeah.
Because you're so used to seeing it as just like this logo, or in our case, this symbol or this brand.
Yeah.
It's like when you're actually in the place where it all happens, it's a bit kind of bizarre and surreal. So me and Jake went.
Uh-huh.
We went with Joe, our Meinl rep, and a wonderful man who met us there by the name of Lorenz. And he was lovely, or Lawrence, or I wasn't sure how to properly pronounce, yeah, but he was cool. The vibe I got straight off the bat as soon as we landed in Germany was how chill Meinl are.
Right.
Like, Meinl are dudes.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
total, like,
Sweet.
they're just so chill.
Right.
Nothing's really an issue. And there's that overwhelming sense of nothing's an issue, even if you get that vibe, even if there's a catastrophic problem.
Right.
Like, nothing's like, there's not like your typical, like, you're out of a job,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that kind of thing, you know? Like, they're not like running about pulling each other's hair out, going, what do we do? Like, everything's very like, okay, no, it's fine. We've got a procedure for this. Let's go and chill. You know,
Oh, cool.
it's not that that might come across as maybe they don't care, but they absolutely do. That's the one thing that makes it so chill, because they care so much that they know they're good at what they do, so there's not a problem. You know,
That'd be great.
so the factory, we arrived at the factory. So it was a 2-day trip. We arrived initially at the kind of the HQ. So Meinl HQ, believe it or not, is like made up of, I guess, effectively 5 buildings. So there's their main kind of office, and that's where they have all the showpieces. So a lot of people might not know this, but in Europe, Meinl also handle Tama drums.
Yeah.
So when you walk in, like, certainly into the big kind of instrument kind of room, I guess, for lack of a better word, there's like loads of Tama kits. So there's like Star Walnuts, Star Maples. There's like all the range of Tamas that they do. And then, of course, there's every line of cymbal that they do as well. So it was really cool. We got to kind of jam, and, you know, like, there was a dedicated room for people to go in and just play drums.
Sweet.
Like, so we were like, is this all right? Can we just go in here? And Lawrence was like, yeah. People just come in here on their lunch break and just jam. Like,
No way.
and it's crazy. Like, everyone in that factory is like incredible. Like, player. Lawrence as well. So it was like me, Joe, Jake, and Lawrence all in this room, just kind of having a 4-way drum battle, I guess, even though he smoked all of us, because he's awesome. So the Meinl factory was cool.
How did you find it picking cymbals? It looked really like, it looked like the best task in the world. Like, it's probably not easy, and you probably went ear blind, or, do you know what I mean? Like, you after a while, you just kind of hear the same thing.
There's a total process to that. So, like, you're totally right. After, like, there's certainly worse things you could be picking between. Like, what do you want for your dinner? Spaghetti hoops, or you know. But yeah, so, like, basically the Meinl vault is so nonchalant. It is like a room, like just a small little room,
Corridor thing.
Almost a little bit, yeah. But there's like obviously all the Meinl cymbals in there. So, like, for us, I was freaking out because this is amazing. But again, because of how chill their nature is, it's not a very grand, like, welcome to the Meinl vault, you know, like proper Gandalf standing there, like. It's just very chill, and but picking the cymbals, that was very difficult because they all sounded incredible.
Right.
One of the hardest ones, actually, funny you mentioned it, was the polyphonic ride.
Oh, really?
Because they were all so consistent with each other.
Right.
They were like, man, like, they all sound great, and like some had little like pitch differences here and there, but not much. So that was quite hard to choose one of those, because I knew we wanted to bring one of those back, and it was just trying to actually pinpoint one that we both liked.
Right.
The extra dry stuff, that was again same direct sound, but like all the overtones could be slightly different from each other.
Wow, sounds cool.
So they all sounded great, but there was some that maybe it's like, I prefer the darker tones in this one, or I prefer the washiness of this one. This one opens up a little bit easier, you know.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool, and like, I guess we were very fortunate to be in the position of having 6 of the same cymbal, or 5 of the same cymbal, or whatever, and being able to be like, okay, test this one. And like, wow, there's like, this one has things that this doesn't, and like, this one's a bit sharper, this one's a bit washier. It's really cool, man. It's an experience, but you do, like, they do say that you have to take regular breaks, because it's the same as, like, imagine if you were just standing in here and hitting cymbals all day. Like, eventually you do kind of go ear blind a bit, and everything. Even cymbals that sound totally different from each other sound the exact same.
Wow,
it's frightening.
Did they give you like different sticks to try them with, or was it just the same pair? Or
they gave it, so there was like 5 cymbal stands effectively. And there was a few hi-hat stands as well that all had conveniently Meinl sticks, of course. So me personally, I tried to pick the same stick all the time.
Right.
So I always had like a hybrid 7A so that I could always test the same cymbal. So I know there was no like third-party stick in there to kind of influence my decision. Like I knew if I'd played it all with the same stick and I'd found a cymbal I liked, that's the one I'm gonna go with. But it was amazing, and seeing how they make it as well, how they make Byzance is pretty awesome.
So you actually got to the foundry, or
We got to see.
well, no, because that's in Turkey, isn't it?
Yeah, so Meinl have their own kind of Meinl Turkish cymbal factory where they make all the Byzance cymbals, and they're sent across to Germany to be finished.
Yeah, that's right.
So like seeing like cymbals before they're sandblasted, and like Joe was telling me there was a cymbal that you wouldn't have even thought was like a sand ride. He was like, "That's a pre-sand ride sand ride," and it's like, "Whoa, that's really?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah, man, yeah."
Did you get to hit it?
We didn't get to hit it, no. So they're
all
all
in.
in.
Hear what it sounds like.
Oh, of course.
Before they sandblast.
Before it's sandblasted, yeah, absolutely. We were showing around, and it was just amazing just to see how all these cymbals are just finished and made. I can't remember the name of the guy who showed us around, but it was basically like Byzance is his brainchild.
Oh, really?
Basically, so the guy who like all the ideas that come for Byzance.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember his name, and I feel horrible, and I feel like we should probably edit it in if I remember. But yeah, because like Joe was kind of freaking out a little bit. He's like, "Dude, that's like," it's like, "Hey man, that's the dude,
Mr. Byzance."
Literally, Mr. Byzance. Pretty
So
much.
did he talk about like the Byzance concept and the 6 degrees of darkness?
He spoke about it kind of briefly, how all that came about, and like how just all these lines are decided and all that. Obviously, a lot of it's dependent on weight.
The weight of the casting and all that stuff.
Yeah, all that kind of thing. Showed us the sandblasting machine, which is literally like, it is the literal definition of sandblasted. Like they put the cymbal in a machine, blast it with a high velocity of sand, and the cymbal spins, and it kind of seems like it goes into the grains of the cymbal. So it's like it's crazy. It's like really, really cool though.
Yeah.
And we got to see how all their beginner lines of cymbals, like their HCS stuff's made. And like what I thought was really amazing about Meinl, and having not been to any other factory, I don't know if any others are the same, but even down to their very low end cymbals, like a pair of hands still touches it in some way. Like the HCS, all the effect stuff is like after a machine has cut out all the long holes in the cymbal, like one guy literally sits and smooths every hole with one tool, and like apparently they're working on a way of not having to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was just like it can be quite uncomfortable to do it after a while. So they need to take a lot of breaks, because if you imagine it, you're basically grinding a big bit of metal all day, and by the time they finish one cymbal, they're on to the next one. So, but it's amazing that even at their lowest point where they can make any money financially, they're still having a pair of hands touch it. It's not just completely machined, Yeah.
Did you see any percussion?
We saw some percussion, in the big room where all the Tama kits were and all the Meinl cymbals were. Like they have a cajon that's shaped like a guitar.
Oh wow!
So it's in that kind of shape. There's only one of it in the world, I believe.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time, man. Factory visits are great. I've been on a couple, and it's like trips like that are great. Going to Zelgen was like that as well. I got to meet Paul Francis, who's your same as your Meinl brainchild. He's the Zelgen brainchild, and just like picking the brains of these guys and talking to them about it's amazing. Just seeing the process, it's just great. The whole sort of, to me, means that you can inform customers, which is rad. Like if people have questions, you can now answer them. Yeah. If people are talking to you about Byzance, you get, well, actually, it's like this and it's like that, and the reason for this is this, and et cetera, et cetera. That's really, really valuable process. Really valuable process.
And it's quite cool. Like I sometimes stand in the shop and look over at like one of the cymbals we picked out. Say it's like a vintage light ride or something. It's like, man, like about a month ago that was in a factory in Germany. And it just took me just actually picking it out, and now it's here. Like it's crazy. Like it's crazy how cool that is. But you're right. You gain a totally different perspective once you see how something's made. I suppose it'd be like anything, but like you do, and especially coupled with the people. And man, let me tell you, Meinl in Germany love their coffee.
Oh, really?
Their coffee is amazing. There's like a coffee coffee machine everywhere.
Imagine Reynolds goes and ends up being a barista.
That would be
making
awesome.
everybody's latte art. If you could go to any factory, where would you go? Any drum related factory.
I was going to say,
I don't say like BMW or something. Like, I don't care about that. Like Puma, no. Any kind of drum factory.
We saw the Puma factory. We drove past the
really?
Puma factory on the way to the factory. So there you go. Where would I go? I think I would actually go to Zildjian.
Right.
I think Zildjian would be pretty cool because a lot of my favourite drummers play Zildjian, and I just think it'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
But you've already ticked that.
Yeah, well, I love they take you on a history tour, so you can see there's a wall that has that's been painted with like the history of Zildjian, and it takes you through like the tree of knowledge about how they started, when they started, etc., etc. And I got to see things like Buddy Rich's kit because you get to sit behind it, and it's like this is the greatest thing in the world, Buddy Rich's kit, man. With these original symbols.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Original heads and all that as well.
Yeah, the heads that Buddy had played, they haven't changed the heads out and all that. It's like
wow.
Like the last person who played this kit was Buddy Rich.
I take it they don't let you play on it.
No. It's there's no sticks or anything beside it, but it's a museum piece.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
So like you can get behind it for a photo and all that, but it's a museum piece. You can't touch it.
Did they have any other kits there as well?
They do. They have an artist lounge, but it was busy that day. There was a guy in picking cymbals. I don't know who he was. Was over for a tour, so they, you can. There's a room. In fact, it's been in like the Zildjian videos when you see artists playing the cymbals. I've been in that room.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you go onto YouTube and you check out like Zildjian factory tour and artists playing, there's an artist lounge where you can go and play. So there was a guy in picking cymbals that day, so we never really got to see. I think there's 2 lounges you can go in, so we never got to see it. But like the history of the room, like Buddy would have been in that room.
That's insane.
Cymbals, all those guys, like all those old Louis Belson and Max Roach and all these Zildjian artists in their heyday, way back when, would have been in that room picking out cymbals and stuff, So
it's crazy to think about it like that, eh?
It's pretty amazing, man. Pretty amazing. And the factory's massive. It doesn't look huge, but it's really big. So they have you've got to get. Did you have to wear like headphones in Meinl when you were on the factory floor? Like
not
noise
really.
cancellation headphones.
Yeah, not really.
We had that kind of stuff on, safety goggles and all that. All that stuff.
See, that's what I mean. Mine were so chill. They're just like, it's fine, it's cool.
We don't care about that. No, I'm kidding.
The only place we had to like they advised that we covered our ears when we were in the hammering room. So that was where they hammered like a lot of the pure alloy stuff.
Yeah, so when you go into Zildjian, one of the first rooms that you go into on the factory floor is where stuff gets hammered. So you have to have ear protection right away. The ovens and the melting room are in a different part of the factory. But they give you safety goggles and headphones actually. So it's a headphone guided tour.
Oh, cool!
So you all wear little headphone packs and they Paul Francis talks as you go around it.
Right.
So so that you can properly hear. So he's not shouting over massive industrial machinery.
Yeah.
And then there's another separate room where this guy called Leon, who's like 70 years old and has been testing Zildjian cymbals since the 60s, still tests the cymbals. It's pretty amazing. So he'll get, like, say that day he was doing A customs. So he was doing I think he was doing 18-inch crashes. And they have what they call a tuner and a standard. So the tuner is like the optimum Zildjian sound of that particular cymbal, and the standard is the lowest that they're willing to accept. And he hits cymbals and has to determine whether or not they fall within that bracket. And if they fall outside of that bracket, they get remelted. And he knows, like, within 6 seconds if it's standard.
Wow.
And he's been doing it for years.
How many, did he say on average how many cymbals he hits a day?
Over 100.
Wow.
Yeah, he's hitting just 2 hours. I mean, if you're there for 8 hours and you've got, however many A customs come off the line and then however many Ks come off the,
Yeah.
So he does a lot, man. He hits a lot of cymbals. He's pretty great.
Yeah.
And there's pictures of him with Buddy Rich and all that. He would pick out cymbals for these guys.
Yeah.
So they would like, I want X, Y, and Z, and he would hit them and send them what he thought was right.
Wow.
Pretty rad,
Did he ever
man.
get it wrong at any point? No.
That's why he's still on the job.
Yeah.
For like 50 years. He's amazing. He's really amazing.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, that
That's-
was a great
wow.
experience. Great experience.
Do you know what I will say? Like, just going back to Meinl as well, is the facility, just when you get on the Meinl property, is amazing.
Really?
Like, what a sight to behold. It's almost quite futuristic in a way. Like, it's really, really cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, just all the stuff they have going on, like, it's just I like walking around the halls and you like see like symbols and all that, like of like the very first. They have a room or they have like an office space where the very first like, or maybe not the very first, but the very first batch of Benny Greb's like sand stuff. Like
no
they have
way.
one of the symbols like
Wow.
that was like from one of the very
Prototype
first.
vibe.
Yeah, sort of.
Wow.
Yeah. And they all have the stuff from the Meinl Drum Festival and like. There's like lots of different like little memorabilia that you just kind of look at and be like, man, that's cool.
Yeah, I totally like you've sparked a memory. That's what you see in Zildjian when you walk in the door. Like Travis's kit, Trey Cool's kit,
Wow.
Ringo's kit, Ginger Baker's kit are all set up in the foyer with their symbols that they would have played.
Oh,
on
no
the
way.
kits. Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty rad, man. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. And there's a car in the foyer, and I can't remember who bought it. I think it was, I don't know if it was Armand or before that like belonged to one of the elder Zildjian guys.
No way.
Yeah,
wow.
it's pretty cool, man. And there's like, I'm sure there's paperwork and folders that for when they bought metal and stuff way back when, and when they, that kind of thing, or like. I don't know if they do. I recently saw this online, actually. It was John Bonham's first Pi-Stay order.
Wow.
Like the actual handwritten slip of the symbols that he requested. I think they've got kind of memorabilia like that dotted around. It's pretty rad, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So, yeah. That would have been great, man. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
There's
good one for your first one.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I think like big shouts to Lawrence and Joe and of course Jake for making sure I didn't die when I was over there. Yeah, it was awesome.
Rad.
Really cool.
Rad. So yeah, I think this has been podcast number 2. I think we've covered enough, because Craig's great, so that we don't want to talk too much over the top of that and bore you all with our nonsense. So we'll drop this. Well, you'll know because you'll be listening to it.
Yeah. Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, totally. So we'll get it edited and get it out really quick. We've got some cool stuff coming up. I'm not going to mention any names, but we've got some cool people that we're going to interview. But I think the next one will probably just be you and I.
Let us know as well if there's anything you want us to talk about specifically, because
that would be cool.
Yeah, just
feel free to drop us a line at the shop, info@drummersonly.co.uk, or on the Facebook page, or on the Instagram page. We're on most of your major podcast places now. So we're on iTunes, we're on Google. We'll be on Spotify soon. I think hopefully because it's relatively new to us, that's why it's taken a bit of time to get these on these platforms. It took about a week to get on iTunes, something like that. But yeah, we're all there now. So
keep an eye on the website as well for some new stuff that's coming in the door. We've got new stuff coming in and out the door all the time.
We are.
Same with pre-owned. Always worth keeping an eye on.
We'll be at the UK Drum Show this year. We're there with Sonar, which is the weekend of the 20th and 21st and 22nd of September in Manchester. The Monday, we're doing nothing when we come back. The Tuesday, we have Matt Gartska, who is all sold out.
Yeah.
I sold a pair of his hi-hats last week.
Did you?
I did.
So they're gone already?
They are gone. The Equilibrium hats have Gonzo team. So if you want some, we'll need to get some more.
We still got the China the way.
Yeah, we do. So at least that'll be, well, hopefully it won't be here for him, because that means somebody's bought it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, it might still be around. So yeah, but he'll have his signature hats on the night, I would hope, I would imagine. So yeah, you'll get to hear them getting played. And yeah, looking forward to hearing another drumming monster. So
totally.
Till then though, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you all.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.